Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BlenderToday 104. Today, I have a guest to hang out with me because it's been a week without many updates in terms of actual development because all the focus was for last week and was about bug fixing, about making Blender more stable, and he was getting some numbers to talk about it with more actual scientific data. So our guest is Dalai Felinto. Hello,
hey, Pablo. Hello.
We miss you.
Hello, everyone. I still don't have the numbers, Pablo. I'm working on it.
Yes, you're working on it?
But don't worry, it's going to be ready in time now.
So,
if you see my fingers here, it's me.
It's you typing next to the... So, hello, people in the chat. We are live. So, remember... These couple of weeks have been more focused on actual getting fixes done. So it's not like we're going to have a lot of new features to talk about. So for that reason, if you see this video with a bit lower quality while streaming, it's because I enabled the ultra low latency feature on YouTube, so I can read the comments. We can read the comments as soon as they happen without much latency. So I can see now that people are saying, hi, that Sibren, Dr. Sibren Stubble is in the house, in the chat. And the one, Jesus, my hair. Did you get a haircut? How did you do it?
I do it myself. I'm trying to work with my band. It's so hard.
No, I hate it. So, hello, Caps, best friend. And for when I lose hair, it's gonna be great. Nothing I'm gonna notice. So we have a blog post. We made a blog post. You made a blog post together with Ton and Francesco and everybody over at Blender Studio about
the long time. There's a proposal, it's like a kind of course of action for the LTS, the long-term support pilot, which was first announced in February or March. It was February, right?
The long-term support somewhere there, way before the quarantine, before the
golden word. And then, but at the time it was a bit vague, and we knew the overall idea of it. It was back in the February 29th when we had the blog post and the live stream. And then from then we have been working together with the other Blender developers, Blender admins, trying to put together a proposal. It sounds, of course, it depends on how people receive it. It depends on how well it can fund the project, the whole
pilot. As in its money to happen.
And it's money to happen. Of course, we are committed to the program, the pilot, in terms of its long-term maintenance. The original idea is to have a existing developer dedicating part of his time to the support fixes, but to make the whole picture into fruition, to bring the whole picture into fruition, we need more people, more developers, and basically more money.
Yep, that's what this blog post was about. So the LTS is happening. So people that are like think that it's not going to happen because there's no money. It is happening. It's a pilot. Is the first year just to re-evaluate how things could go. If people want it, especially if studios or like institutions want it, right?
Institutions are big companies, which will surprise you. There are a few that are not necessarily in the animation studio. Animation studios, they're more familiar to installing different softwares and to have a healthier relationship with the whole ecosystem of DCCs, like
digital content creation.
It's the content creation, which Blender is part of. But then other companies, like in the automobile industry, into the research facilities, universities sometimes, for them they have more restrictions when it comes to allow anyone to just install any software in their computers. And I've seen that in universities back when I was working in one of them, that sometimes the research project wants to fund and to support a project, but they cannot just donate money to a project.
Yeah.
So the LTS is another way for them to support Blender and have maybe an official license agreement that can vouch for the software being free and open, so they know their research is always going to be available.
Which is
their data always can be reproduced.
Which is unfortunate because donations maybe sometimes are like tax deductible, right? So they could if they were smart, it would be like, hey, instead of buying this or paying for this contract. So what we're talking about here is the corporate part of the plan. But if we go on top, there is also a little nice announcement. It's a change, and that is something people have to be aware of, that the corrective releases for 2.83 is not going to be A, B, and C, set like for the past 25 years. It's going to be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3.
0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3.
Oh, okay. So the first release is going to be 2.83.0.
Yes, and that's a way to distinguish between the series, or the release, and the specifically release version. So if I say, hey, have you tried Blender 2.83? I say, yes. And but there's a new bug fix I updated yesterday, can you download it? Like, download what? Blender 2.83? Like, that's what I'm using. Like, anyway, it's I think it's more clear to communicate what we're talking about and to make sure those numbers, they're not in the big picture.
Yeah, it's 2.90.2 we are currently, and that is a bit confusing, but this number is going to be hidden, I guess, from actual.
Yes, we see then in bug fixing, we see then when you download in the upcoming LTS page.
But not as the name of the release.
Not as the name of the product, I call it the product right after Blender. You know, in the past we say, oh, I love the Blender 2.49b. Like, B is not part of the product. It's not part of what Blender 2.49 was in terms of project.
Yeah.
And in terms of features, and
also we avoid people in the calling the alphas A and the betas B and that issue.
Yes, there's that as well.
Yep.
So let's leave letters outside the version.
Yes. So in the chat, Bullet's asking, will add-ons work from 2.8 to 3.0? Yes and no, because
the add-ons that work in the 2.83, they're going to continue work on the 2.83 and in the 2.8 series. That's maybe a more interesting question is, an add-on that works in 2.90, is that still going to work in the 2.9?
3?
7. I think 7 is the last one of the series.
What?
Oh, no, 2.9 is different.
3. Yeah.
So, sorry. So if an add-on works in 3.0, it's still going to work on the 3.7. And yes, so they did it throughout this major, they call major releases, right? The 3 series. We're going to guarantee the API compatibility and wait to break compatibility if needed
for
only
releases.
In the major releases.
Like 2.9, 3.0, and stuff. So yeah, also the question is a bit too wide, because will add-ons work? It means that like add-ons can be touching any area, right? It can be, if it's about particles, then it might break, but if it's about, I don't know, UV tools or modeling or things that haven't changed much, then it's a good chance that it will keep working. Then the pilot program, and then the corporate run, which what we were talking about before. So do you get the numbers now? You're still working on it. Sorry,
I'm still working on it. I'm the worst multitasker I know.
No, sorry. So feel free to ask your questions live. I don't know if someone has made the blog post already. Yes, actually, Sebastian Villanueva has made a blog post. So go ask, leave your questions in the chat or here on blender.community/blender.today. Will the modifier API break 2.8 add-ons on 2.9? Modifier API, no.
What? And maybe the moment you have modifier nodes, would they still be backward compatible with the old API? Maybe that's the question?
Yes.
And the answer is yes and no. I mean, again, it's a new project. You might wait to release it as part of a major release Blender series and try to keep the old API compatible with the latest integration.
Okay.
It's a confusing question, but
yeah.
Okay.
All right, so while you continue doing that, I'm gonna share a great tutorial that I found that somebody posted, and I retweeted it with the BlenderToday account the other day, yesterday or a few days ago, and it only has 500 views, but I think there's way more people interested in learning how to do math in the nodes. node math in Blender. It's so nice. It's in like 15 minutes, but at the very beginning, it goes, of course, it's not complete beginners. You need to know how to use a node editor, for example. But it explains how all the access and how the colors in the viewport, what do they mean? Why is it pink and blue? And it's super nice, this tutorial. And then it goes into like more advanced examples of how to use these nodes, like this coordinate system. And also at the end of the here of the tutorial, it goes and it says, okay, let's make a heart in Blender using nodes. And then it says, okay, this is the equation for the heart. So from an equation, it just goes and translates it into nodes. It's super interesting. So I'm going to leave it here in the chat for people to check it out. And let's give it more likes. This is a very well done tutorial.
Have you ever done, Pablo, those kind of displacement? I call displacement magic. Displacement map and displacement vector map for shading, as we did in November. Now what's called the
November. Yeah, no. November, for me, this is like learning Chinese. I have as much knowledge of math nodes as I do in in Chinese or Japanese or even Dutch or maybe Dutch I know a little bit more. But it's just it's a very good example. I still don't know why things are that way. It's like, why if we get the power of 2 of the thing and then the curve goes in another direction. But now that I actually see that you can translate an equation, which I didn't know, into a actual shape, then that opens a whole world of possibilities. Next time I say, hey, I need to do this kind of shape, I'm gonna look up this kind of equation, and then it's easier, because then you just split it in parts. You just do whatever is in parentheses first, and then you do, okay, this is like divided by 2 and this is the square root and stuff.
All right, what else do we have?
I'm looking at the the meeting notes from last week. Yimingwu is back to work on LAN PR.
Yes.
Isn't that
so
exciting?
He had a few, how do you call it? Had a few problems accessing the university because of the whole quarantine and corona in China.
He's in China, by the way, people who don't know, and LAN PR is this engine that draws lines in the viewport, real time.
Well, he finally got time. I think he presented his thesis. I follow him on Twitter. It's always nice to see like his work, because he used his own coding to do like presentations. It's pretty nice. And he's back up to LAN-PR. He was rebasing it. I think he did it already, so he merged his work to the latest Blender, and he can iterate over it. Some other developers were trying to pick it up where he left, but it's so much easier if the original developer can just be around and help with that.
That would be amazing. I hope he can go get back to it. And I don't know. Do we have like a grant program for this?
But in a way, his work, he could afford. But I mean, if you think about it, his work was already sponsored by the whole Google Summer Code program for 2 years.
Twice, yeah.
Then we wanted even him to do it again this year, but there's a limit on Google Summer Code. So he couldn't apply even if he wanted. He can only do it twice in a row, or twice in total.
Mm-hmm. So the bug fixing sprint, the average of daily fixes went up 92%. High priority bugs went from 18 to 5. That was last week. So we are reading the numbers from last week. The unclassified is around the same, but the number of issues, the known issues went up. New reports is about the same.
We're looking at which numbers, Pablo?
Sorry?
What you're looking at?
I'm looking at the numbers of the beginning of the week, of the Monday kickoff.
Compared
the average of daily fixes, from previous week.
Yeah, we had something else we had, which was addressed yesterday. we had a few bugs and reports which are totally falling under the radar because they were not properly tagged for the corresponding project. So when someone reports a bug during the triaging process, someone comes and say, hey, this is an Alembic issue, goes to the Alembic team should look at that. And the way we do it is that we tag it to the projects. And sometimes if things are not properly tagged, no one even know that this problems exist anymore. So we had around like 80 bugs which were not properly tagged. So it's part of this whole wrapping up of the curfew and bug fixing to try to see, okay, what's the exact situation. The number of high priority bugs is almost close to 0. These are the ones we plan to fix for 2.80.
Oh.
So you can check on developer.blender.org. Manifests keep coming back up. It's part of the process, right? They keep retagging things as
high priority, yeah.
But this is a new one. There's Alembic here. Won't render correct frame.
Alembic.
Yes. But again, those are reports from quite recent. Yeah, like a report from May 20, report from May 20 as well. So the old ones, because we had 20 I think last week or so. May 20, May 20, May 20, April 30. Okay, that's a big one. Oh, the VSC, but this is Ricardo is looking at it. November 2019. This I think is for the Blender 2.90. Yeah. Anyway, so this was one of the goals with the bug fixing sprint. Also go over, to give you a bit more time for the high priority bugs that we wanted to fix for 2.83 to be fixed, and we just make sure there really no regression after fixing it.
Yeah.
All in all, it's a big success.
Yeah, so far it's looking very promising. And also the another exciting announcement that was done this week is that 3 developers from Ubisoft got commit access. So it means that they can make the changes without actually asking for, like, making a patch and then asking for 2 developers to commit it, for example. They're working on a branch, the XR World Navigation branch, which if you're on Linux, I explained how to do it. I made a tutorial, compile Linux. I made a video here, your own Blender, where if people are interested in compiling their own Blender under Linux, they can. And branches. I'm sorry.
No. See, for me, the interest is not that they can commit without anyone checking the work or reviewing. It's different. It's like this is the kind of work they were doing internally already in their own Git repository.
But they can share it to the world.
So nice. It's not that they can just share it; that they can do it as any other Blender developer can do. Just be there and open in the official Blender Git repositories. And that's the nice thing, because the Blender infrastructure, the Blender Foundation infrastructure, is to serve the Blender project. And the Blender project is the community, is the, of course, higher developer, but also everyone that's helping to build Blender.
Yep.
Blender.
All right, so we got a few questions in already. 5 so far. So I'm gonna be while you continue to gather those numbers, I will start answering them.
Sure.
So first question, Sebastián Villanueva says, hi Pablo and Dalai, great to have you. My question is about viewport display color. Is there a way to get the viewport color based on the shader's color pick? I know it gets tricky when we have complex node groups, but I think it could be a link to the color in order to select it.
First question is, why do you want to do that?
Wait, a viewport display color. Is there a way to get the viewport color based on the shader's color pick? That's I don't know. What do you mean by viewport color?
You want I know, it's the object. Instead of setting the object viewport color, replicate it based on the material itself.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
That can backtrack, basically. It could start with that. Like, I think if I understand correctly, is that if you set the color of the material to be like green, that in the viewport it shows green. The thing is that as you mentioned, it's hard to get it with the with the node, with complex node groups, but also it's something, maybe it's not what you want, because maybe you want to somehow tell apart these objects, and two objects with the same like many objects with the same material, that also can get a bit confusing. So that's why you also have object colors and random colors. But it could be like at the starter, maybe like for the principal BSDF, if there is a principal. I don't know, there is many.
Yeah, but if the principal BSDF is a texture, if the input you're using is a texture for this
which color do you use?
Which pixel do you pick?
Yeah, an average, and then that takes time. And that gets averaging colors and stuff. It can get complex.
Well, you do it once and that's okay, good story, but still, and then you store, but then
I think somebody made an
if the texture is local in the hard drive, every time you open Blender, you have to recalculate the average for this texture.
Yeah.
I think you already have the viewport display option per object and per material, I think.
Per object, material, vertex colors, texture, random, and single for all the colors. So, will Eevee ever support light groups? Yes, I would say, eventually. Like, because the question says ever. But I think it would. I think it makes sense for Eevee. And it was promised to replace the Blender internal, and the Blender internal had it. So
it was promised, and yeah, it was promised. But then it was also eventually, bound to replace cycles, which never will. It's different one.
Blender cycle? No, it's never gonna. No, cycles doesn't have light groups anyway. Yet, I hope. There is a patch. I hope that patch makes it one day. Boris asks, where is the BlenderToday 103 available? I missed that one and I don't find it on YouTube. It's unlisted currently, because last week we also had a tracker curfew, bug tracker curfew, so it means that we didn't really have much to talk about. So I just talk about the new Unreal demo, and I was answering some questions, so I thought it wouldn't be so interesting. So I've made it unlisted. However, you can find it on the playlist of BlenderToday, which you can find. For example, it's in a few places. It's in, I think when you download Blender in the in the thanks page, there is a weekly live stream, and this one has all of them. Or you can also find the BlenderToday in youtube.com/BlenderFoundation. You'll find a playlist called BlenderToday Live, and here you can find. And yes, it is unlisted, but somehow it got 10,000 views, which is maybe half of what you usually get, but still, it's funny how things
but
happen.
Then
it's unlisted and it got 10,000 views, so that's encouraging.
Well, I almost have the numbers. I know how. I know I can
almost have the numbers. Okay, I'm gonna do another question.
Okay.
I'm gonna reply here. I think I can do YouTube and then the ID. If you didn't know, for people that use Blender community website, you can do YouTube and then space in curly brackets and the ID, and it will make an embed. I'm going to ask here again, since it was keeping the live chat, any chance to get smart bake action for NLA? Basically only bake available keyframe into one layer, not bake every nth frame. Bake every available keyframe into one layer. I'll have to see it in action though. But in the chat we have Cyprian's Duel, so maybe he can answer this one about from Reanimate. Please, Cyprian. It's the animation module owner. Can you guys make, please, a custom loading screen? Anything related to it?
Loading screen. Why do you want to do that?
There's the.
People ask this every now and then, right?
Can you guys please make a custom loading screen? There is no such thing as loading in Blender. It launches in like 1 second on Windows and less than a second on Linux. I don't know. Well, you're on Windows there, right? I installed Windows the other day, by the way. I had the brilliant idea to upgrade Pop OS to 2004, and it messed up. And so I had to reinstall everything. That's why I made the tutorial about how to compile Blender. So yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience. Reinstalling is not too bad. But since I was reinstalling everything anyway, I was like, okay, might as well install Windows just to be able to make a tutorial on how to compile Blender on Windows, because people have been asking for it. No, people are being, one for the team.
But after you managed to do it, it was quite straightforward to keep doing, right?
Yeah, no, because when on Linux you can wipe the system partition, and then you can keep home and everything, that all your settings, everything is separate. I have it separate in a separate partition, so I can wipe Linux as many times as I want, and all my settings are there. So that's why I just reinstalled the whole operating system, and I had my own background, my own OBS prepared for live streaming, and Blender, and pretty much everything. So Blender opens in 8 seconds on Windows. 8 seconds.
Let's see. Let me open my 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, open. 5 seconds.
5 seconds. It's crazy.
Yeah. 4 seconds.
If people haven't seen the video by CG Geek, it's awesome. He makes a comparison between Windows and Linux, and he does all kinds of tests. But the first one is about booting, and the first one on Windows 10 for him it took 1.7 seconds, and on Linux 0.6 seconds. So I think maybe there's something in some operating systems it takes a bit longer. I don't know why exactly. For people watching these videos, I think it would be nice if it could maybe not make a whole new video with the new, but maybe with 2.83 or 2.9 would be nice to see the difference so far, because Windows cycles and VVH building on cycles got much faster now. I think the conversation started right after he made this video. It was a good investment that he did, because some time differences were like 50% or like, I don't know. It was just crazy. But the baking is also faster, and many other things are faster on Linux.
Even, and people sometimes don't know that, like just rendering from the command line in Linux or Windows, it's always recommended.
Yes, render from the command line. Maybe I could make a tutorial about that. Yeah, so many so many advantages to do that with, like, you can do frame ranges, multiple frame ranges in one go. Super interesting. Actually, Captain Disillusion talked about it the other day on a tweeted about it.
I remember like doing basic, like, quote-unquote render farm, where we had a few computers in the network rendering using the render placeholder. They all had the same file, rendering for the same range, but the placeholder first creates the frame and then render afterwards. So even if it can do that even for the same computer, is a way to force multi-threading.
Yes.
You're doing something that was very single-threaded sometimes. Times.
Blender placeholder and override. So if for people that are not aware of, it's an option called placeholder.
I said override?
Hey, I can't find it here. Output placeholder. It's in 2.4, 2.5, 6, 7, and 8. But apparently it changed position here. So it's called override and placeholder. So this is like the poor man's render farm. So poor man render farm. If you don't have a render farm, you can do this. Basically, you disable override. So when you render and render and render over the same frame number, it's not gonna override, and enable placeholders. So as soon as the Blender starts rendering, it will make an empty file there, like with the name and everything, just to like save the spot, and it will start rendering, and at the end it will replace that file. So if you have 2 Blender or 5 or 10 Blenders open at the same time, they will basically start rendering the sequence. They will, if you have an animation, it will say, Blender will go like, hey, frame 1, 2, 3 are done. I'm gonna do 4, and then the next Blender will do like, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is done. So, and that, so on and so forth.
And this is also useful whenever you are inspecting your animation and has some, for whatever reason, some buggy frames, maybe ran out of memory. So this you're gonna see like this. You see the frames that need to be replaced. Just delete them, just re-render the whole thing.
It's lovely.
Without the override option, and then just populate the missing ones.
Yes, I've done that so many times for Sintel and for which other. I remember for Sintel, I don't know why, but for others as well. So, more questions. Reanimate. Boris asking, hey Pablo, thanks for answering me. We got it live. You can also ask in the chat. I'm looking at the chat, and we have it with less latency today. So, will animation layers be implemented to Blender? This is something that really lacks on Blender currently. The poor man animation layers is NLA, which is there. It's not really poor. I never seen animation layers. You're like, I would like how? Animation layers. Where is that? I guess in Maya, but is there on other software that it uses that? I want to see the UI because from what I understand, I mean, it is looking something I don't know. So there is not really a lot of learning going on here. Okay, okay, so it's like an outliner and you have many layers and you can. There is someone working on improving the NLA editor to make it nicer to work with, Siren says. Nice.
Yes, there have been a few improvements on the NLA.
On the
NLA,
yeah. Awesome. And actually, yeah, there is a video. I haven't seen it yet, but it's by Luciano and animation layers. It's kind of clickbaity title, but it's because it's not the same, but it's almost the same. But yeah, basically to get the similar thing, but with the NLA. Next question. Great work, guys, in keeping Blender running. Do we have plans of having a true physical skylight system in Blender like Redshift and Octane? Or does it already include something like that? I'm just unaware of it. Physical skylight system. What is a physical skylight system?
Since when you set up the sun position and the latitude.
There are a million add-ons for that. Even Blender has one, I think, right? Sun position, but I don't know if that's the one. And what is physical? Time and place presets. So let's see.
I think some papers that tell you what they're supposed to, how the sunset is supposed to look like.
Yeah. Okay, so I just enabled. So I have a sun lamp. I enabled the add-on. I just don't know where to find the settings. So where is the location? World? It's in the world, of course. My bad. So sun position here. We can actually get the normal sun plus HDR texture. So we can actually, we can set this is the sun. So this is the sun, and then I can change the distance, the elevation. Oh, that's very interesting. Bind texture to sun. You can use a normal. You can enter coordinates. Amsterdam. Could not parse coordinates. No, I need to pass actual coordinates. So let's see Amsterdam coordinates. I Google for it, then I paste it. Wow, it actually works. I should search for like Amsterdam coordinates. I copy pasted that, and then I pasted it here, and it looked, yeah. What time of the day? Show north. Yes, show me the north. Offset the north.
And that's, of course, it's super useful for architecture.
Yeah, it's amazing. Use day of the year. You can actually go to, okay, which day is today? Year 2020, bam, daylight saving. Oh wow, this is super complete. Okay, so yes, it's actually built in Blender, and let's give credit to Michael Martin for making it so nice. Super neat. All right, yeah, there is. What are people saying here? Oh, about the Maya free. Ah, yeah, that guy on that video showing the layers, he is the one. He made a video. I got like so many people poking me about like, hey, look at this. Maya is no longer free. It was never free, guys. It was never free.
Sorry to break it down to you, but it was never
Exactly.
free.
You could use it as you were a student, but you couldn't work with it. You couldn't do freelance jobs with it because it's not allowed for commercial use. That's not free. Besides the old freedom.
Their indie license seems to be very nice.
Have you seen the
Not the terms and conditions,
comparisons? No. I'm not gonna do it. It's not nice to do it in a Blender. Let's do it on another channel. But there is a comparison that you can see of the things you get with the indie, the educational, and the other ones. And the educational you get a lot more, but with the indie you don't get all the features, because there is I don't know, there are many. Actually, the guy explains it in that video that everybody shared, so I don't have to share now.
I like the video quite a lot.
I also saw it and I like that. It's nice, but it's funny that they keep calling it free when it's not free. Okay, another question pop up. Thiovinmont asks, hey Pablo, can we get something like this real-time muscle simulation in Blender? 2-minute papers. That's another channel that gets all the time shared. It's like real-time muscle simulation.
Of course, the answer is, I was even thinking, would that be part of what people expect from something like Animation 2020? No.
No. Well, yeah, maybe that's something. Yeah, like a muscle system, but Animation 2020, which by the way is not 2020, it's 2022 or something.
Pablo, you got a new image in your Blender chat.
What? Blender.chat. There is a chat for Blender. Is it like a Discord? Nah.
It's beautiful because it's whenever the main servers go down, since the Blender chat is elsewhere, it's a little bit of the communication.
Ah, that's nice. We can keep talking. All right, so I got this thing here. What is it? What are we looking at?
What? So this is the amount of commits in Blender, in the Blender source code, in the master, not including merges, which have the fixed name on it in the title.
Yeah.
It's a way to calculate the number of bug fixes we have in Blender. So this is the red line. You look at it, you're seeing.
The red line is fix.
Yeah. So I'm doing something that's called moving average. It's not the best way to see it. But basically, once we started the bug sprint, you got to think about a few days before you see the blue vertical line over there. You see this, basically the number of fixes really almost doubled up. The number of daily bug fixes we had in Blender.
So this is from where? It's from February.
From February, and then you go closer to the end is May and everything.
Nice, good. So do you expect this to continue going up, or when is the curfew? Like, do we have still another week? Did you?
To be discussed on Monday, but initially the idea was to do it 2 weeks only. Again, to give time for the main high priority bugs to be fixed, and to fix other bugs in the process, and to lower the overall number of bugs in Blender. The tracker, right, which must be, what is the number now? Yeah, 671, including.
Yeah.
Including, let's see, it's strategy and confirm. So, I think it was nice, it was a success, and maybe we should definitely incorporate these in the regular Blender development. In the release cycle. We used to do that in the past, like before release, like every developer tried to focus on just bug fixing. And now we have this overlapped release cycle with something that resembles a little bit more the so-called rolling releases. So it's always coming out.
Yeah.
But I think it's if those weeks proved anything, is that it's kind of nice. I think it's very nice also for the team to work together. It's kind of bonding activity. So.
Yeah. And it's super nice to have this. It's like a stop, and people can actually go back and work on this kind of stuff. It helps the development. It helps Blender keep. So the amount of, because if you don't fix them at some point, then they keep piling up and up and up and up. So Is it like the beacon 6? I heard some beacon 6 talk. What is that? Are we adding beacons and didn't know?
People were complaining, like bring it up that there's no such a thing as DEFCON 5, right? Because that's where we got the beacons from. Now we have beacon 6. Oh, there's no DEFCON 6. And little bit they know that even the beacon 5 was already something you brought it up, Pablo, because it has a better ring to it. So maybe you could even like make the 2 days of the beacon 4, which is the release day,
to extend it into bug fixing, and then beacon 5 to be the release.
I would say to mix the 4 and beacon 4 and beacon 5 at the moment.
Ah, okay.
And then just to have one last beacon.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It makes sense, absolutely.
But maybe something that we can.
Absolutely, I vouch for that. Beacon 6.
But overall, the idea is that, and this you can see on the wiki. I don't know if we have it open.
I have it.
Is that at some moment after the LTS Blender is released, then we need it. Then there's a different beacon because the project is still ongoing. And it's just a new beacon that happens to be beacon 6.
Beacon 3, 4, 5, 6 long-term release. Beacon 6 is for like long-term releases.
Yeah. 7, I don't mind just merging beacon 4 and beacon 5
to be the one thing, and then beacon 5, and then so LTS would be always in beacon 5.
Yes.
Rolling release.
And it's also because every time we go from one beacon to another one, we try to change it in the website, in the chat, the wiki, in the Blender Tracker. And if this beacon 4 lasts only 1-2 days, and it's when you're super busy actually doing the release, I don't mind if that's one less things we have to worry about.
Yeah. All right, see some questions in the chat. So, hi Pablo, do you have any proposals about force fields for randomizing simulations like in RealFlow? Randomizing simulation, a force fields to randomize.
What is RealFlow?
RealFlow is an app for doing flows. I think it's in Spanish even or something. It's an industry standard app, well known for fluid simulation. But a force field for randomizing simulations, I think you can randomize, like it will be a setting on force fields. We do have an update regarding physics and nodes and everything in nodes project, so maybe that would be part of the creation. If you could use nodes, then you can more easily randomize what happens. Next question, I think I saw one here, is like, when animation nodes will be included in Blender? Never.
No,
animation nodes.
Never.
Animation nodes is an add-on that it keeps being updated and is developed by the community. You can find the builds on graphical.org. There is constantly updates.
It's not by Jack?
No, it's actually, I think Jack is no longer working on it as often as it was before. There is more like a community behind it, like a developer especially, and then they are on GitHub, but you have to build it. And if you include, like, let's see how heavy this is. So it is like, well, 6 megabytes, 5 megabytes, 5. It's not too bad, but still it would add 5 or 6 megabytes to Blender and an add-on. So this is better made with a built-in maybe eventually as a bundle. We had this idea for the asset manager project. To bundle
it's
Blender.
Finished, maybe we could have a Blender bundle we can now load separate, and then in that case not an add-on wouldn't get told at all.
Yeah. Hi Pablo, is there a way to use the node editors for grease pencil materials? No, grease pencil materials don't use the node editor so far yet. A fike. Yes, no, they don't have.
Yeah, no.
What would you use it for? Like, besides, it can get complex, but if you have some use cases, maybe the grease pencil team would be interested in it. I don't know. Then, what's happening with multi-res? It will be released on 2.83, or is it still postponed? Multi-res is finished. It's working as expected in 2.9. 2.90. 2.83, it was a bit too late for it to fit in 2.83. So what you are gonna get though in 2.83 is fixes in a lot of other areas of applying the modifier and some propagation, but not during sculpting, which is like the one but people mostly use the multi-res for. So if you want to do sculpting, I would recommend using 2.90. Yeah, you made a face there.
No, I was thinking one of the Google Summer of Code projects we started already, but I was just trying to see if there was already a weekly report from her, but there isn't. So
okay, so
which is the framework one.
By the way, on graphical.org, in somewhere here close to the BlenderToday website, you can find some builds already of the Google Summer of Code. For like new sky texture, for example, there is a build by Lazy Dodo and a cycle spectral branch. Interesting. Wow. That's cool. LAN-PR also has been updated last Saturday. Ooh, graphical is on fire. Cool. In a good way. So let's see if there is any more questions here. Oh, I was reading from the chat. Is it morning in the US? Yes, it is. I think I cover all of them. Please update page with questions. So, oh, some more popped up. Let's see. And the website.
Maybe a nice site to show is the Blender Google Summer of Code wiki. It now has almost all the proposals ported by the students.
The wiki page.
Yes, so if you go to the wiki in Blender, it's right in the front page. You can see Google Summer of Code.
Projects.
And then projects. And you can start to see like the links, the proposal,
discussion, proposal. Continued improvements to the outliner. Customizable menus. Editing grease pencil curves. Improving I/O for big files. This branch already has some commits. Info editor improvements. Interaction support in VR through OpenXR. Liquid simulation display options, production ready many light sampling. This is gonna speed up rendering. People were asking today about is cycles gonna get faster anytime soon. If this happens, it's gonna increase speed. Regression testing frameworks and volumetric soft body simulation. So
and those proposals are already after the students talk to the mentors and then double check the schedule still feasible, make sure the design is still like okay. It's nice they're importing from the official page to our Blender own.
Yeah, I was looking for images, you know. So here, for example, the proposal for editing quick favorites and editing the quick favorites. So you get a list with all the commands. And then you get you can add an operator, an operator or a layout object maybe. And then you add it, you match that title, you can change the icon, and you can set operator options. Nice. Oh, I wish we could have groups or like drop down. Maybe we can. How would that work? It would be hard to show it because the UI list don't support nested objects, items. Yeah.
You wanted that to see.
Well, because you could make like a drop down and then inside you could add operators, right? In the quick favorites. I don't know. I'm just asking without even looking deeply into this. Quick favorite will be renamed to custom menus. Add import export option. I will change the top bar with the buttons. The part to the right will be reordered to be more intuitive. My section. Yeah, okay, so there will be sections.
Dividers and technically maybe submenus. And of course, once you have these,
this will be for everywhere, not only quick favorites. This is awesome.
And you can just create your own menu and then maybe have it in a different place. The scope of the project is tied to the quick favorites, I think, or
quick favorites is like the
whole framework to edit and customize your menus. So it's a pretty welcome.
Absolutely, even panels. Oh, that would be amazing. Fish template, cylinder. Oh, so cool. I hope you make it, Legrand Alexia.
Yeah, Alexa Legrand. Yeah. I know in French they change the mix, they change the order. Maybe it's common.
Ah, yeah, and they write the last name in all caps usually. All right, another question. Meman is asking, hi Pablo, do you have any proposals about force fields? That we talked about this. I actually replied on the live stream. Hi, I have a question about the subdivide modifier. Now Blender uses its own algorithm, not the same as the rest of the industry. That gives results not the same as in other programs. Sometimes the differences are barely noticeable, sometimes significant. Its own algorithm for what? Like Catmull Clark in Blender is different than the rest? Or they are different than Blender?
No, I think it's like how we handle crease basically can be different. How we handle anything they're actually talking about, especially for sculpting when you keep adding subdivision levels.
Yeah.
Whether you do the subdivision inside the mesh or trying to consider the coarse mesh part of the mesh. So this is a lot of this changed though for 2.9. So maybe it's nice to check again. So there's a lot of the work that Sergey did on multires. The way I see it is a bit related to this as well. Like what happens when you subdivide and subdivide.
Yeah.
Subdivision behavior is different.
So it's a bug report. But yeah, no, I'm actually no idea about that. Preston, do you know what the attribute node does? I keep seeing it in projects and node groups for different values, but I can't find out where that value comes from or what it does. I am sad to tell you that I know about the attribute node and the values because I saw when they were committed. But yeah, it's a bit hidden how things work. So basically, for some things like temperature or vertex colors, in the past the only way to do it was with the attribute node. So you have to go into attribute and then you can write, if you write a color, a name of a vertex color layer, and then use the color, then it would be color. But that is so bad. So basically, recently Blender got a new vertex color node, so you can actually pick from there. However, the attribute is still used for some things, such as temperature, for example. So when you actually have a principal volume, I think it has them pre-filled for you. Yeah, so temperature attribute, actually you can also get it from here if you write it here. So it's a bit, it was the poor man's way of calling things. I don't know, there should be a place in the wiki where to learn about that though. Maybe, hopefully, let's see.
Not in the wiki, but in the manual.
In the manual, yeah, sorry, the manual I meant. For a list of options, see this thread on Blender Stack Exchange. So the manual is linking to Stack Exchange. Here you go. And density, flame, color, N for a normal. Capital N, G for the true normals. Wow, pointiness. UV, generated, tangent, name of a UV map, and name of a color set. What? Yeah, this used to be for the UV, for the name of the UVs, and then you take the vector.
That was before we had
the UV map.
The UV map, the UV input.
Wow. I completely forgot about it. Yeah, it's true. At some point in life, we didn't even have that. We have to add the UV. That's crazy. It's crazy. So people that have just joined Blender in 2.8, see what some people had to go through. It's funny though. This should be somewhere documented in Blender. Oh, I think it is. I think if...
Must be in the manual. If you go from the Blender interface and right mouse button, do you get the manual?
Let's see, online manual. You get to the attribute node, and then if you go, yeah, it's true. If you are, so to get here, where I was, you can right click on this node, attribute node, like on the name field, for example, right click, online manual, or press F1. It's going to take you to the manual, where you can find here the see also and the thread on Blender Stack Exchange. Not the most elegant solution, but it's there. It has everything explained. So thank you for the heroes over at Blender Stack Exchange. Gandalf, you're doing some heroes don't wear cape.
Oh, Gandalf! I remember.
I haven't heard of Gandalf in a while. I hope he's fine. Boris asked, probably this was talked before, but what about the asset manager?
Oh, we still have a design on code.blender.org from March 12th. It's still valid to this day.
March 12th. That was the day of the quarantine. Like that's when we started. At least I started working from home.
And it's still valid. The developer that's going to be implement that is Julian ISO. He's still helping finishing up the overrides with Bastien, and then eventually he will get started to this. It's a project that's been ongoing in a way for quite some time, so there's no rush, let's put it this way. We got focused on get it right. Maybe that's my point.
Yeah. I mean, if the Blender Studio wants to start another short film, which, by the way, the Blender Animation Studio will be releasing a new short film next Friday, which is the same day we do the live stream. So I wonder if we're gonna do it live and I didn't know about it, or maybe we can do it live and they didn't know about it. So stay tuned. Maybe we can talk about it. Maybe we can get the guys, people, Hjalti, and the rest of the team. Could be fun.
Cool. And it looks so good. It looks so nice.
Yeah, because if we continue fixing bugs, there will be nothing to talk about anyway.
No, next week. Well, next week is supposed to be Become 4.
Ooh. Crazy. Right, next question. Oh no, well the asset manager, Boris was asking, what are the benefits of having it? Ooh, many. An asset manager will allow you to work, to organize all your assets. What is an asset? Everything is an asset. A model, a texture, a material, anything.
An asset is a data block with meaning as per the design.
What is a data block? Data block is everything. It's an object. It's an object, a mesh, not everything. Like a modifier is not a data block, but a mesh is a data block, a material, an image, a texture, anything that you can add to the scene, for example, that's also a data block, like a mutable text volume, grease pencil, and so on and so forth. Having a manager.
Even brushes.
Even brushes, yeah.
Which is the gray area of data blocks, which probably should be tackled in a different way. They're part of the whole user. We're calling it user preset data blocks.
Yes.
Or sorry, assets.
Oh, presets. That's also another big topic for asset management. That if you could have presets, for example, you made a material that you really like about, I don't know, or a node group for glass that you're happy with, then you don't. If you have an asset manager, you can just say, okay, I want to use this glass that I made time ago. Anyway, another question. My second question for today. I recently opened a bug report about the unpredictable, at least for me, behavior of Blender when multiple selections are made. It's not only you, actually. Multiple selections is a new thing in Blender, so it's probably not working.
What do you mean by multiple selections?
So some unpredictable issue. It was closed as an invalid. Let's see, what was the bug report? Multiple object selection problem. When I'm selecting several objects, the last active object is selected implicitly and is not shown as active. Well, actually, the last object selected should be the active, so...
and as Brecht said, this is indeed how Blender works by design and has worked for a long time. So.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So the last object you always select, that's gonna be the active. And that's what we shown. But if you unclick it, maybe he deselected, and then that's not the active anymore. So yeah, one of the things to learn when you start using Blender for the first time is to know how selected versus active and how the context sensitive works.
I love how I found it a bit contradictory, the proposal. Now I'm not criticizing the person, but it says, the person said, I believe that a more predictable behavior would be to make the active object a random object from the set of selected.
Random?
How is that predictable if it's random?
Yeah, no. Like it's random by definition, not yeah.
I think what he means is not predictable, but more what he expects, more just one of the selected objects to be the active one.
Yep.
Kind of funny. Thanks for the reports too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
To the point, has clear instructions and nice image.
Yes. So okay, so we are 5 minutes past time, so let's answer whatever is left here on the, I think it's less than 5 even questions, so let's get this done. I think you're on holidays today, Dalai, sorry.
I was doing my jigsaw puzzle, yes.
Oh, sorry. Well, this is almost holiday, come on, it's hanging out. Ish.
Yeah, sure.
Although the sun is out. Anyway, let's get rid of the questions. Hi guys, when can we expect the UI UX special? You might remember I made a proposal for pressure sensitive sliders. Yeah, we talked about having a UI UX special, and I wanted to save it for when we have the new modifier UI. I thought that was like a big thing that we could celebrate by having maybe Willem, Rainish, and Hans, which both of them work on it. Maybe it could be fun, but that still have to happen at some point. Until when the new features can happen in 2.90? Do you know? Developer.blender.org.
I know I can tell everyone how to.
Developer.blender.org.
Go to blender.org. It's saying right there, new features until June 24th.
24th. Okay, so we still got one more month to hope. Next question: is it hard to implement zebra stripes to the keymap? What?
I have no idea how ZBrush works. And
no, zebra stripes. Zebra, like the animal.
I think so. Like if you use a texture.
To the keymap editor. Yeah. Actually, that will make it a lot more readable.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mind was elsewhere.
Yeah. I guess it's just it shouldn't change the color of the buttons though. It should change only the rows. But I see what you mean. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I'm gonna upvote that one. And
yeah, but I mean that's the. I agree. It'll be a good thing. But that's the list of the problems with the keymap editor.
Yeah.
I know William's been working a proposal to change that. So
we've been working on a proposal. We've actually been discussing, and well, no, he made it, but we've been talking about how it could be, because Blender with the context and stuff, it's very special. So it took some talking. I hope it can happen at some point. I found an error in rendering the Blender. When you render pure black, everything looks fine, but when you put pure black rendering into GIMP or Photoshop and turn up the contrast, you will see that black has a lot of noise. Everything is okay in the 2.79. This bug is more than 2.79 in every version of Blender. Well, it depends. If
I render like with no lights at all, just open Blender, remove the light.
Yeah, that's the thing, like which engine, because if you're using 2.79 by default, it would use Blender internal, which is noise free by default. And if you render with Eevee, you might see some noise by default, so it's hard to compare.
Oh, that's some global illumination. In Cycles, if you delete the light, there's still lights going on.
Because of the world, because the world is not completely black. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the answer for it. Yeah. And the last question is, hey everyone, I hope you're having a good day. We hope you too. I ran into an issue with the shadow catcher a while back. After doing some research, I found out what the problem was. It seems that the shadow catcher in Cycles is not working correctly like other render engines. Someone wrote a big blog post about it here. Do you think the shadow catcher could be fixed in the future versions? I've seen actually this in the past, and I hope it could be fixed in the future, but I have no idea regarding the technical.
My experience with shadow catchers is more with Lux. It was a branch of Lux. It was research was involved. Someone was implementing that. The approach is very different from Blender, so I don't know, so basically we had to manually tag background elements and elements that we wanted to handle the shadow catching. And my point is, and then everything else, my point is that maybe with Cycles, since the whole approach is more hands-free, you can just work, try to just set the material to be shadow catcher. Maybe there are some limitations.
Yes. So, and actually the first reply is by Brecht, saying that I agree pretty much entirely. Brecht, he made Cycles, so it's good to see his answer. Is it like he agrees with pretty much everything, how it needs to be improved. Not sure when this will be tackled though. And that was in June. That was 2 years ago.
Because
it doesn't work.
It's not straightforward to do a GPU implementation.
Ah, yeah, that's a problem with cycles, that it's because it's both CPU and GPU. It means things have to be done for both systems, which can have implications.
Cool. And the problem is well explained here, and there's even a task on the developer.blender.org listed, and if you go to the cycles page over there,
in where? Developer.blender.org,
and then cycles, render and cycles.
Let's go together. Cycles.
It's in the usability, the second post on usability. Shadow Catcher Refactor to support indirect lighting.
Exactly. So it's a to-do. It's confirmed. Lots of love. And you made it.
It's even linking to the dev talk also.
Even. All right. So developers are aware of it. It's good.
Yes. Good.
Gonna put it here as a comment. All right. So I think we are good for today. Thank you very much, Talai, for joining last minute and working. Actually, you had to work.
It's okay, don't mention it.
If you don't mention it, it doesn't happen. So how's everybody on the chat? Everything okay? Was it okay hanging out? I actually really enjoyed last week when I had to go through the Unreal. I had to go. I don't know. It was
a thing to talk about. On the whole Unreal video?
No, not a reaction. That's lame. She was like watching it, and I reacted, but I watched it before. It wasn't like the first time and trying to make a fake impression of it. I saw it before, and then we talked about it. Like, hey, so maybe it is a reaction. Yeah, never mind.
Have you seen the mega scans demos people have been doing with Eevee now, like in the past week, like as a reaction to the Unreal demo, whatever?
I saw actually, and I retweeted it. I think yes, I retweeted with Blender Today. By the way, if you are doing cool stuff with Blender, at Blender Today, so I retweeted. We passed 15,000 subscribers. I'm just saying, followers on Blender Today. It's not a lot for some accounts, but it's a lot for small accounts that want to get their work featured. And the work that Mr. David is doing here, it's just. I actually retweeted not because of the work is great, but the enthusiasm. He's like, this is why I love Blender, the fact that I can play around with real-time lighting and stuff. And it is just a scene I quickly set up using Megascan and the bridge to Blender. So yeah, the render is looking great. It's you can see how the little fire updates, and even it plays back and the character up here. But also I was reading here in the comments, and it's so nice. It's like, this is amazing. like looking amazing, brother. Blender, bro, Blender, this program. I really love it. This enthusiasm. We need more people like this in our lives.
I'm following a few people that are starting to use Blender, like people I met like last year. He was the lead environment designer of the Pokemon feature film.
Oh.
And so it's Philippe Beckman. And then on his time, he's using Blender for getting started, and it's so
Seriously?
cool. The guy's freaking good, and the guy's so nice. So it's follow him on Instagram and whatnot. It's so nice like this, and if someone has already used world class studio pipeline, they can use whatever tool they want, and it shows. You can see that from day one they can show such a good work. Fundamentals are so important.
Fundamentals. Not the Blender fundamentals, but also is the Blender fundamentals, but actual just art fundamentals. All right, thank you community for staying until the end. It's been a fun experience. Zebran says that he likes the shorter delay between the chat and video. I think it helps.
It makes it more live, right?
Makes it more live. The downside is that the quality of the video might be a little bit less good. Like it's not.
But does YouTube later on?
Yeah. At the end is it's just fine. Like once you publish the video, but during the live stream, it might not look 1080p or maybe 720 or so. So that's not bad. 720p. We are discussing peace here. All right. I need to get going. I also gonna do a live stream in Spanish and Espanol over at youtube.com/blenderhoy. Shameless plug. I like to thank you, Dalai, once again. You're looking sharp. You're shaved. You are like a much better version than what I'm becoming here with the long hair and with everything.
Maybe because I don't have a cap and I should be wearing a mask, then I shouldn't worry about that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, are you wearing a mask when you go out?
Nope, not at all.
You know, starting next week or the 1st of June, you should if you take public transport.
Yeah, but only if I take a public transport. I haven't taken public transport for quite some time. Like, yeah, since the beginning of quarantine. How about you, Pablo?
I have a little bit of both. I haven't left in like many. I spent, I think, the maximum 3 weeks without leaving my house even, because flatmate was doing the groceries, and I was like, okay, so 3 weeks without actually going out, which is bad. I should go at least have a walk, and I haven't had walks. So when I go for a walk, I usually go far with the bike or public transport. Anyway, I wait for Blender Russia with Pablo. Oh, Blender Russia. Da. Alright. Enough. I will continue chatting like this for a while.
Go back to my jigsaw puzzle.
What about video games? Why don't you do healthy stuff like video games? What happened to Animal Crossing?
That's still happening. But I do know. I'll tell you later. Someone else got the Animal Crossing in the office.
Oh, dangerous. Are you using your own controllers at the office?
No, I don't play in the office. No.
Okay.
No, the office, I bring my Kindle though. I never get to read. I got so used to mind my own business at lunchtime. Now I'm going to work and then go eat. So I bring my Kindle in the expectation of reading, but it's also nice just to catch up. Like a lot of Sculpting with Casper, everyone.
Really fun.
So good to be back to the office. You should do it, Pablo. Come back.
No, I don't want to. Because you have to take care of everything. You go here, you wash your hands. You go here, you wash your hands. At home, you don't have that problem. You're not paranoid at home for things. And at work, I don't want to be paranoid, especially with Tom still like has to. I don't know. I don't want to be,
Nah, it's fine.
Getting people sick.
Anyways, I miss it. It'd be nice to. The more people we have around, it's always nice.
I'm gonna wait until mid-June at least, because in June 1st they're gonna make things a bit more loose, and then it will be people gonna get sick, and then 2 weeks. I don't know. As long as the Dutch government says I'm gonna stay home. This way off topic. Let's talk again next week for the premiere of Coffee Run, the Blender Open Movie workshop. Animation open movie that is about life. Spoiler alert. See you next week.
It's really good. See you next week.
Bye bye.
No, not really.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gracias, community. Obrigado, Dalai.
Obrigado, Pablo. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pablo.
Ci vediamo la prossima settimana.